This episode of Her Design, Her Story is proudly sponsored by Royal Oak Floors, the founders of engineered oak flooring in Australia. Elegant yet durable, practical yet luxurious, Royal Oak Floors have formed the foundations of inspiring Australian architecture and interior design for over 20 years, with flooring products that are uniquely tailored to Australian lifestyles. Royal Oak Floors is proud to announce the launch of 4 new colours in its renowned architect collection, the result of collaborative workshops in which design professionals shared emerging trends, unmet needs and evolving preferences in Australian interiors. We're proud to partner with a brand that values craftsmanship, sustainability and the stories behind every space. Explore the new colours at royaloakfloors.com.au. Today's guest is April Butten, founder and creative director of BOAST, a strategy-led branding and creative studio that helps ambitious businesses build brands with cultural relevance, emotional connection, and commercial impact. With more than a decade of experience in branding, storytelling, and creative strategy, April has developed a reputation for helping founders move beyond simply selling products or services to creating brands that genuinely resonate with people. Through BOAST, she works directly with entrepreneurs and growing businesses across Australia and internationally, guiding them through brand strategy, design, digital experiences, and launch marketing. Her approach combines deep strategic thinking with creative execution, helping brands stand out in crowded markets and build loyal communities around what they do. April is passionate about the power of perception, believing that great brands are not just seen, but felt. Her work has contributed to brands featured in major publications and stocked by leading retailers, and she continues to champion the idea that relevance, connection, and authenticity are the foundations of sustainable growth. We discuss her courage in launching BOAST, the changes in the industry over the last decade, and what keeps her motivated and inspired. April, welcome to Her Design, Her Story. Thank you so much for joining us from Perth today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to speak to you. You've got your amazing business BOAST, which has been going for about 12 years now, which is incredible. But I know before you ventured into this business, you've had some amazing time living overseas and study opportunities. I was wanting to go back to the beginning of your study pathway when you left school. Can you talk me through a little bit around what that first journey looked like for you?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been here in Australia about 10, 15 years now, maybe 10 years. So before that, we were in France for a decade. Obviously, I'm English, but France was where I did all of my high school and uni. So that is kind of home, right? So I did my master's degree in design and marketing in Lyon in France, and sort of just picked up, kind of side jobs or small freelance missions as I was studying. And I think that not having the pressure of having to have a full-time job or full-time income during those 4 or 5 years while you're studying was really helpful, because I was able to just gain experience and grow my network of kind of contacts and clients really slowly without the added pressure of having to really support yourself, I guess, at that age. So that's where it all sort of started for me.
Oh, amazing. So what was, when you started your business, were you still living in France at the time?
Yes, yeah. So I started it while I was studying, essentially.
And wow, okay.
Yeah, we started getting smaller clients. It would be just, like posters or a bit of copywriting here and there. And then it became so busy that was almost my full-time job by the time I finished studying.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so then the option was either to go and work in an agency or to really carry on pushing this thing that I'd sort of grown on my own over the last few years.
Yeah.
And so that was the path I took, I guess. I didn't like the idea of dropping it all and working for someone else.
No, that's quite amazing. What was that first, I guess, experience like getting clients if you're still studying? Was that sort of just something that evolved and clients got bigger as time went on?
I mean, the university in France is slightly different to here, where it is a 40-hour sort of scenario. So you don't really have time for it's as intense as high school almost. You're doing that many hours and meetings and group projects. So there's no time to get kind of a side job. You can't go and work in a restaurant, or you can't do any of these things that would require more than 10 hours. So I thought I'll just go online. I went onto Upwork. It was called Odesk at the time. And I just started adding any work that uni work, like kind of fake projects on there, and just applying for small jobs as they would come up. And eventually that just grew into me having one of the busiest profiles on Upwork at the time. It was before it became kind of the huge overseas outsourcing platform it is now.
Yeah.
So it would just be kind of small hourly work and then slowly sort of building up from there.
Oh, that's amazing. Did you, how did you find, I guess, lots of questions about moving to Australia and all sorts of things like that. But just in terms of, I guess, skill set, I suppose your business evolved as your study evolved, and then it's a bit of a trial and error.
At the start, it was very much just kind of freelance gigs, right? And just I would try and pick jobs or apply to these small projects that would relate to things we were studying in class at the time. So, for example, if we were studying web design or UX kind of strategy, I'd go online and think, well, I've just learned this with, I guess, the confidence that comes with being 20.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I've just learned 2 hours in the school. I can now apply to a job to build someone's website. And I would almost learn on the job every time something would come up. Yeah. I guess you just learn so much quicker doing it. So the school was almost more theory and design, and then this was actual real life applying it. So I'd spend all weekend trying to build someone's website after promising them and just kind of winging it essentially and learning as I went. So by the time I left uni, I had obviously all of the skill sets from our professors, but then almost as much experience winging it on the job, I guess.
Yeah, and things like client management and all that kind of thing, some of that just comes with time, doesn't it?
Yeah, and obviously at the start I was probably way undercharging. I'm sure I wasn't even charging minimum wage. I was just trying to get reviews and trying to build up my profile, and I know it was way undercharged, but also I'd never done it before, so you don't know what people are charging. You kind of you're happy to get an extra €50 here and there, to your night out on a Saturday. But then there was nobody really kind of doing the same sort of design work that we would do. There was a lot of more overseas sort of designers or kind of more execution style design work. Yeah. So the more creative work, or I was really heavy into illustration at the time. There was nobody really on there doing that at the time. So I think that's what really helped me get all these jobs and then sort of, increase pricing and experience from there.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. You have obviously made the move to Perth. How long have you been in Australia for now?
Yes, I've been here 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So out of uni, obviously, I started carrying on doing my own thing and building the agency slowly. We quickly moved to a team of 3 as I left uni and started getting bigger projects and obviously growing our kind of real world network. Obviously, eventually we moved off of Upwork, which was good.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a team of 3 of us for a while, and then we were all remote. So then when I met my husband, who lives in Australia, it was just an easy move. I already had clients all around the world. I was able to just carry on here, really. So then 10 years ago, I moved to Perth and have kind of grown it since then, essentially.
Yeah, oh, that's amazing. How did you find... Obviously, coming to Australia, I know I'll touch on shortly some of the amazing brands that you work with, but was that, again, something just with time and network that you've been able to sort of build up a client base over here?
No, I think it was, so there's kind of 2 phases, I guess, over the last 15 years of building this. The first 10 years, we were still the team of 3. I kept the 2 girls designers with me for the whole 10 years. And it was because we'd started on Upwork and grown our network that way. Everyone was overseas. So in America, a lot of clients in Europe and the UK. So when I came here for the next, I guess the second half of that, for 5 years, I still didn't have one client in Australia. So I was very happy with my clients from America. And I didn't need really more clients. So it's not that I was excluding it here. I just didn't see the need to I guess it was just working, right?
Yeah.
So I was with our American clients. So then about 5 years ago, up until then, we had been very focused on individual services. So someone would come to us just for branding or just for strategy or just for website, for example. And around 5 years ago, we paused everything for 6 months and decided to really focus on BOAST, the brand, and apply essentially everything we'd been doing to clients, but to ourselves. So we built our own positioning, messaging, strategy, and we essentially launched in Australia with a completely different marketing plan, our Google, our ads, everything centered just to Australia. And it just took off from there. So that same amazing. 12 months, we 10x'd our revenue. We went to we're now a team of 10. That was all within the first 12 months. And it's kind of skyrocketed since then. So I guess maybe I should have focused on Australia soon.
Well, that's also quite reassuring, I guess, that kind of work you do for other brands, when you take that internal, that's worked for you as well. A bit of a case study.
Yeah. And you probably know, working with designers, like it's very easy to just focus on other people's projects, on your clients' projects and not really work on your own brand. And then we just felt that we were doing really well, but we couldn't quite get to that next level, of agency size or project size. So it is definitely, it takes a lot of time, but applying it, your own advice or taking your own advice is always good.
Yeah, and I guess you've been in business for over 12 years now, which is amazing. I guess it's also that sense of adaptability and seeing how the market's changing. No doubt the way that websites are built and all that kind of side has probably changed as well. Is that something you're seeing quite an evolution in that process?
Yeah, definitely. I think there used to be very much a kind of request or trend, or I guess desire for, how do I explain this? People would come to us and they would only need the website, and we would build them the website on WordPress, and it was a very manual process. Now I think brands and founders are much more educated, and they know that it's not just the website, it's the strategy and the storytelling and that emotional connection to the audience first, and the website is almost just the cherry on top. So I think founders definitely have that bigger picture mentality, which I think has helped, since we've obviously moved into more of that mentality with our clients, where we'll do everything from A to Z, all the way up to post-launch and ongoing campaigns. I think that's kind of the depth of the work has changed.
Yeah, I think I guess things like the introduction of Instagram and all that kind of, I feel like even from the work I do in interior design, I'm terrible at Instagram. I think trying to work out actually how to utilize each of these platforms, I think that exactly like you're saying, that traditional idea of a website has become quite secondary in some respects.
Yeah. And especially that social strategy, it's almost like people will buy straight from Instagram, right? So the website is almost more of that trust factor, and is not an afterthought, but it's definitely gone down in importance.
Yeah. I did want to talk a little bit around your wonderful work philosophy. I know in some of our exchange earlier, we were talking around that idea of working remotely and giving people that sense of a little bit of freedom, so it's not always sort of tied to a desk. How does your office sort of operate at the moment? Do you have still quite a few people working in different locations?
Yeah, so we don't have a physical studio. We're still remote. We have the same 10 people that we've had for the last 5 years, but everyone's kind of works from home, or there's a few of us in Perth, so we'll meet at WeWork or co-working offices. And the same when I go to Sydney, I'll meet the girls. We have some of our lead designers are in Sydney. We'll go to the Common and kind of work together. But most of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, everyone's from home. I think, again, because for those first 10 years, it was just 3 of us, all remote. And it's hard to give up that freedom as well.
Yeah.
I love being able to do it. I know that the team love it as well. So our most senior designer, she was in Mexico for the last 6 months. She's just been back to Sydney, and now she's going to Italy for the next 6 months. And she just loves it. And I guess if they're enjoying it and they enjoy the work, I feel like it always shows in the client projects as well. Nobody wants to be tied to a desk trying to think of a creative idea. That's the worst way for it to come, right? It's not gonna happen. So everyone sort of manages their own time, and we don't do set hours. Nobody has to do their 40 hours a week. I know how long a project should take, but they'll have their set projects they're working on, and that has to be done, for example, within the 6-week time frame, and they manage their time however they like to.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which is good. Obviously, you have to trust your team, and they have to be amazing, and they are.
Yeah.
But I think the kind of hourly system isn't quite, it just doesn't work with creative jobs, I don't think.
No, and it can be hard kind of because, you know, particularly if you're looking for inspiration but it's a bit like in the work I do. I sort of have a fairly good idea of how long things should take. But, it can be tricky if you're sort of fenced by hours.
Especially with copywriting. So a lot of, I'd say over 50% of our work is copywriting and strategy and tone of voice and kind of storytelling. I do a lot of the copywriting, but our lead copywriter, she hates it. If she has a 12-hour deadline and we just have to do something, there's no ideas coming, right, when you're in such a pressure. So I think sometimes she'll say, I'm going for a walk, or she's going for lunch, and she'll come back and she'll just smash it out. It's just that bit of kind of fresh air. So I think if I'm not at the office all the time, chained to my desk, I don't really want to expect the team to be either. So
that's amazing. So it's a lot of your presenting them back to clients. Is that sort of via online, I guess, if people are in different locations as well?
I mean, now, so since we've kind of been very focused in Australia, a lot of our clients are in Sydney. I'd say over 80% of our clients right now are in Sydney. So I'm back and forth all the time, and our lead designers are over there. So we'll often meet them in person. But if not, where we can, we just do Zoom workshops, and it's all online now. So it's, I guess because I was so used to it for 10 years, this just seems like the natural next step.
I did want to ask as well, are there any particular types of clients that you have found you work with, like lifestyle, fashion, or is it kind of a mixture of them?
We work best, or I'd say mostly, with cosmetics brands, especially here in Australia. There's a lot of kind of skincare or fake tan or beauty products, perfume, for example. So I'd say that is probably 60% of our work. And then the other 40%, it could be any industry. So we're working on a cafe right now, a peptide brand. It is very kind of multi-industry, which is always fun, but definitely a lot of cosmetics brands.
Yeah,
which is good. Especially in Australia, I feel like we do them really well. The kind of cult following brands is always something that does really well here and then goes to America, right?
Yeah. I know there are some incredible products coming out of Australia at the moment. Actually, one of the other things I wanted to touch on with you is obviously that very lightly, because it's so far out of my depth, but is that element of AI that's coming into a lot of work. I know it's something I'm constantly fed on Instagram about interior design, and I find it a little bit overwhelming. Is that something you're having to adapt to a little bit in your industry as well?
Yeah, we're definitely using it a lot more, and I'm very open with our clients on where we use it and where we don't, and why, and the reasons for each kind of decision. But it's definitely something we have to be using. And I say to our clients, they're paying us, or they're hiring us for the strategic thinking and that world building. They're not hiring us to then take all the branding and put it into a brand guidelines document, right? That can be done with AI now. All of the sort of junior execution work can definitely be done with AI now. So we train our juniors up on something else instead, on the kind of bigger picture strategic thinking, rather than the day-to-day tools that are going to be non-existent in the next few years. Yeah,
I think it's about that sort of smart interface, isn't it? Which I find the whole concept very overwhelming.
We integrate it a lot into our projects because, for example, we'll do these big strategy decks and all the storytelling. It has all of their copywriting for their website and their socials. But we know that 6 months down the line, they're going to be going to Claude or ChatGPT and asking ChatGPT to write them a newsletter because they need a new kind of marketing campaign, for example. So we will now give them a prompt that allows ChatGPT to spit back all of the content in the tone of voice that we've created, and with the story and the kind of tone that we've created. So at least they're using AI in a way that serves the business, and it can still stay unique and support their brand. If not, I feel like they'll do it anyway, and it will end up sounding the same. So
I think
we try and kind of give them the advice that helps them.
And I think that's quite a transparent, and an honest approach as well. I think, I've had clients where I still work with renderers to get projects rendered, and I've had clients try and create that themselves, and you can see that there is an element of understanding the space and that, you know, the anomalies that go with the project that need to be understood as well.
Yeah.
I did also...
With AI, if you're starting to design spaces with AI and it's not the right dimensions, I imagine it's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, it does I find it frustrating because I can see it in my head and I just can't prompt it the right way. Yeah.
No.
I also wanted to talk a little bit around, I guess, going back to when you get a new brief for a client, that notion of storytelling that you've touched on.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of, and I guess sources of inspiration and things like that I find really interesting. When you get a new brief, are there any sort of set things that you do to get yourself into the headspace of thinking about a new story for a new brand?
Yeah, so we'll definitely try and talk to as many people as we can within their kind of audience or their target consumers, right? A lot of the time we're lucky, I guess, because it is products we would use or a cafe that we would actually go to. So that's sort of the easy one, right? We can just imagine what, you know, there's 10 of us girls, we're all women in the office. I feel like between us all, we know what skincare products we like, what's not out there, and how to build a story that really connects with us. If it's not, and it's a really kind of completely different audience. So for example, at the moment, we're working with a fashion brand for tween boys.
Oh,
so
wow.
like 12 to 10 to 14-year-old boys, and we don't know any. So we're lucky where one of our designers, she's very involved with a church and community youth groups. So we went and just spoke to all of the kind of young youth, the young guys there, right? All a load of 12, 13-year-olds in a group. And we were asking what they would like and what what makes them follow a brand on Snapchat, TikTok, all of these things. So there's a lot of understanding people and the psychology and really figuring out what that emotional connection can be to the audience. So if it's not us, we have to go and meet those people most of the time. You just can't find that information on AI or Google, right? So if that's not possible, then we'll really dive more into the founder's psychology and why they're obsessed with this product or why they really feel like there's a need for this in Australia or wherever they're launching. So it's, kind of getting inspiration from the people as much as possible.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's really interesting. Yeah. No, I think that's good because obviously, particularly if you're working, say, across a few similar
across industries,
products, trying to find that point of difference, I think it's really interesting. I did want to ask sort of more from a business strategy side. Obviously, you've mentioned growing from 3 people and now you're at 10, which is amazing. Has there any way that you yourself, obviously as the director of the business, been able to sort of further educate yourself in managing a team, or is that something that's evolved quite naturally for you? How's that
so I have. We've kind of changed like systems a bit over the years to see what really worked for us. So, just before COVID, we were thinking of getting a studio and all being in person, and then that, I think it worked out for the best. We were very happy remotely. But then we tried, project managers or account managers and seeing how that would fit. So eventually I realized that being the founder myself, I love the client interactions and I love the founder sort of workshops myself. So I do lead a lot of the projects. And I think that helps with leadership because I'm able to, I guess, be the middleman between the clients and the team. So I can translate the feedback and deliver it to the team members in a way that I feel like they'll respond best to, especially if sometimes there might be extra rounds of edits. I kind of know which team members are happy to just run with it or which ones need more of the explanation and the reasoning behind why we might be pivoting, for example. I think definitely having a lot of senior designers and senior copywriters in the team helps because they've been doing it for almost as long as I have, so there's not as much of a management or sort of I don't have to manage or micromanage anything they do. I can just trust them that they'll smash it and they'll design it better than I would. So that's and then not having an office helps, I guess, with leadership. There's no HR issues. Everyone's
that's why I sort of asked. I always think that's quite interesting, going particularly in a creative space where you're sort of working away in a certain method and then taking on more people. I guess what that looks like from sort of a management and day-to-day, but I suppose if people are sort of quite happily working away and they're different.
Yeah, and then, we'll always be together when there's a big photo shoot or big campaign shoot that we need to sort of all be there for. So it's always nice when that's a reason to get together and everyone's in Sydney and it's all hands on deck if it's kind of a big production. Yeah. So that's when everyone sort of puts faces to the names. If someone's joined us a few years ago and hasn't really been involved in too many shoots. But if not, it's all team meetings, video calls. I feel like we're all besties at this stage and we all know each other, but I guess we don't spend that too much time in person.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think it's amazing that, it's obviously very doable that people can work like that. And like you say, I think particularly in that creative space, not having those parameters of being in an office sometimes is quite refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like clients as well, they just don't question it anymore. I think that everyone's so used to everyone being remote. It's not a barrier. Working with us versus an agency that has a studio, I think clients really don't care anymore.
No, and I think ultimately, I find it a lot with even in design, a lot of clients, if they're working different hours or whatever, often sometimes it's more around being flexible for meeting times and things like that. That's actually more important, perhaps.
Yeah.
I did also want to ask, in terms of your projects at the moment, do you have any sort of dream wish list type of brands that you would love to work with? Are there any kind of facets that you haven't quite been in yet?
There's a few kind of very specific products that we'd like to launch. So there's a lot of very cool sunglass brands out there right now. And I feel like whenever we're it sounds like I don't know if it's niche. Yeah. But every time we have a team meeting, the girls are all very excited about the potential of a photo shoot and how kind of quirky or fun we could make, a sunglasses brand. Yeah. And the other one everyone is dying to design is like a soda brand, like a can.
Oh, like, okay. Yep.
Like Poppy, is amazing. Any sort of physical products like that we love. But those are the two kind of top of our list for some reason right now.
Oh, that's so funny. You never know.
Yeah, it's very specific.
Yeah, I did want to talk a little bit around, I guess, your personal attributes. I think that's quite incredible hearing how you sort of just went straight from university into building a brand and have been able to navigate that through moving countries and all sorts of things since. Would you say, what sort of personal attributes do you think you have which have really helped you in terms of, I guess, that determination and keeping that momentum going?
I think I've always had a really high work ethic, and I know it's probably very easy to say about yourself, but mine, I'd say, is particularly high. Like the amount of hours that I put in, and I really love what we do. Yeah. So I spend a lot of time working on it, and I think there's a lot going around right now on Instagram in particular, or maybe it's just my feed, where wake up early and go to the gym and do your Pilates and do the yoga and the matcha and the kind of rituals, and then you get to the office at 10 a.m. At least for me, I don't think that's realistic. I think it really takes a lot of work and a lot of man hours to really build something super successful. From all of our clients, it's the ones that are just absolutely obsessed with their brand that spend 24/7 thinking about it that really take off. We can usually pinpoint that from the first meeting. So I think that's my main thing. I think that's made it work is pure kind of dedication and being able to spend all the time on it before I had kids and all these things.
Yeah, and it's hard, isn't it? Because I think sometimes finding that balance, I find for me the first thing that goes when I'm really ensconced in work is the Pilates or the fitness. Yeah, and I've come to accept I'm not the person that's getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I've tried numerous times over the years, but it's really not for me.
I feel like one day I'll do that when I'm in that kind of stage of life where everything's calm, maybe.
I know.
I have a membership that I pay for and just don't go.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit depressing.
It's just not where I'm at. I'm really focused on, I have the kids, which I don't know if you have children. It's just crazy. Yes. That keeps up as much of my spare time. And the rest of it is just on the team and client work. Yeah,
so I know you've got 2 young children. Is that right? What sort of age? What ages are they?
They're 5 and 6. So we were ambitious with the age cap.
Yeah.
So it was all around the same time, for some mad reason, that we decided to, take that break and rebrand as BOAST. So you'd think it would be quieter, but those 6 months rebranding to BOAST was probably the most hours we've ever done as a team.
Oh, wow.
So that kind of happened at the same time as the children came along. So it's just been very busy 5 or 6 years, but they're good fun. I guess I'm very good at compartmentalizing my time. So when I'm with them and we're playing Lego, and then as soon as they're in bed, I'm back on the computer. So I'm kind of very present when I'm doing whatever I'm trying to do, I guess.
Yeah, oh no, that's a really great skill in itself. I've got 3 young children as well, and I find I'm not very good at compartmentalizing. I'm working on it. I know, and I feel like particularly for my third, I need to remain patient and try and give her, the same amount of time that I've given the others. I think it can be quite challenging sometimes.
It is, but so there's a few things, I don't know if it's advice, but there's a few things that have really helped me. So I guess most people have a work phone. I didn't have a work phone for the first kind of 10 to 12 years. So my email would always be pinging on my phone.
Me.
So the children talk to you, and then you're like, oh, and then you're engrossed in reading an email. So now that my work phone belongs with my computer. So when my computer's away, the work phone's away as well. And I think that really helps, especially when you don't have that long away from the computer. I feel like we're always on it. So that helps. And I have a new rule that I'm trying to implement, and it is helping, where I don't let them see me with the computer. So if I'm working, which is often, I'll go and take myself up to the office or out to a cafe. And then when I'm in the house, I try and be really present with them. It doesn't always work, but I think it has helped me mentally, just not seeing my computer and picking up for a quick email or doing anything.
Yeah. Because sometimes I find trying to cover all the different, like I'll run out to the next room to do something for them, and then I'll think, I need to send that calendar invite.
And then they'll call you and you'll be like, just a minute, I'm on the phone.
Yeah, I'm always just a minute, which is terrible.
And it's always a minute, then it's an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very hard, but I think that has kind of helped them realise that, oh, she's at work, I can't come and talk to her, like she's doing what she's doing, and then when I'm here, I'm present.
Yeah.
I'll let you know how it pans out. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll check in a few months. I think it's hard with children as well. I think you would have noticed too, every age brings a different challenge, or they might be going through something at school which just takes a little bit more thinking and a bit more time. Yeah, so I think that flexibility as well.
Yeah, and it is. And we are lucky so my husband, he goes to work. He has a real job, I guess I'd call it, whereas I work for myself. So I'm always the default parent, there's always something to do at school, there's something, so you do have to be flexible. But yeah, most of the time they're great fun, aren't they? So it is worth it.
Always a bit of a juggle. I did want to touch on, I know we were sort of talking about that inspiration at the start of a project, but is there anything that you have built into your routine, or anything that you find particularly inspiring alongside the work you're doing? I know it's very easy with Instagram and Pinterest and things to be a bit sucked into imagery, but is there any way that you find, or anything that you find particularly inspiring for your work?
Yeah, there is actually. So it is very easy to get sucked into Behance and Pinterest and
which can be great.
But I find if we spend too much time looking at packaging examples, whatever we design ends up becoming too similar. So we try and stay away from the design reference, like graphic design references. And the reason I listen to your podcast a lot actually is because of the interior design references. So we love interior designers, and looking at, for example, wallpaper inspiration is always amazing. So that will kind of give us a lot of color schemes or patterns that we can draw from it to then translate into brand designs and our own patterns. So definitely, interior design. We're doing that at the moment with it's like a 60s vibe cafe up in Noosa. So we're looking at all the 60s quirky kind of Austin Powers wallpapers that they had back in the day, and seeing how that can translate to like the takeaway box. So that sort of thing is
good.
Yeah, it will be good, hopefully.
Yeah, fun. But it will be. That's so funny, because I'm so obsessed with paper and packaging and stationery, and that's 100% how I judge something. I can't help it, but if you get that really good packaging, I often keep it. It's so funny. Yeah. So it's almost like slightly reverse.
Cross industry.
Yeah, which is interesting. Do you get to travel much for work outside Australia, or is that something that you find quite inspiring as well?
Yeah, so we do for photo shoots only, really. Most
Yeah.
of the time, if we're working with international clients, it will still be on Zoom, but then there'll be a specific photo shoot or a reason we need to be there. So we'll do that. So, for example, we have one in Italy this summer, which is a great reason to go to Europe.
Wow. Yeah.
And then there's one coming up in the Middle East for a kind of, it's actually pastry. I don't know why there's so many pastry brands at the moment that we're working on, but a different kind of pastry chocolate Dubai brand. So every kind of 6 months there'll be a big one internationally, but most of the time it's back and forth between Sydney and Perth. I feel like I'm always on a plane.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And are you finding most of your clients it's quite a holistic approach? Like the photo shoot aspect sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, it was always fun. Yes, so I guess, since we not rebranded, but since we kind of relaunched BOAST, we only work with end-to-end clients.
Oh, right. Okay, so whole scope. Yeah.
The full scope, yes. So strategy, design, packaging, website, and then photo shoot, and then marketing plan. So it's kind of a 6-month process. Often by the time we've done the shoot and they have their samples and ready to go. And then we'll have clients who will come back to us for kind of periodic seasonal campaigns. So, for example, we're doing all of the Christmas campaign stuff at the moment this winter. So, prepping everything for an October launch. So every kind of 3 months, there's the big seasons that have to be prepped for.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's
so
amazing.
We like to work with our clients over as many years as possible. Obviously, it helps them grow the brand and kind of expand the vision each time.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any brands what's the longest a brand's been with you at the moment? Are there any that you've seen through quite a substantial shift?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm in my back office today, so I'm kind of looking at who we have on the shelves.
Behind you.
We've been working with a brand in Melbourne, actually, so they're local to you, called Moroccan Tan, and they're the biggest retail fake tan solution. So all the professional, this kind of brand that professionals will use the most in Australia, but they hadn't been able to successfully enter the retail or the B2C market. So we have been working with them for a couple of years on rebranding and repositioning them out of the kind of cosmetics industry into the skincare industry. And that has really helped them reconnect with an audience that's kind of more scared of maybe the synthetic ingredients. And because they have such a healthy ingredient list, we're just finding that we're able to kind of go to retailers and expand their own community and audience through kind of pushing that narrative instead. So they're kind of the big one. And we did an amazing shoot in Melbourne that was very kind of Melbourne-esque, I guess. It was walking through the city, these amazing tanned girls. We do anything but a bikini shoot for this fake tan brand because it's not realistic.
Less predictable,
to an audience, we want to show that you're really confident when you're dressed and you have a great tan. It's not just underwear in a studio shoot. It's not kind of as realistic now. So that whole kind of repositioning has been a journey and it's been a fun one.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. I know you've obviously got some great brands lined up over the next year. Are there any particular launches or photo shoots? You're talking about Italy, which sounds amazing. Is there anything else coming up in the next 12 months that you're particularly excited for?
Yeah.
Or lots.
Let me think about who I talk. We're actually really enjoying all the clients we're working with right now, but I am just thinking about which ones I can tell you about because obviously a lot of the time they haven't launched yet. Yeah. We're working with a really amazing Korean skincare brand, but they're Australian owned by a Australian lady of Korean heritage. So she has a great understanding of how the best manufacturers, the best ingredients from Korea. Yeah. So she's importing or turning that into an Australian brand called Veil. So they should be launching over the next month, and it is one of my favourite brands to date that we've ever designed. And I think
amazing!
Most of the team. Yeah, Veil, Vaill. So they should be.
I'll have to keep an eye out. I feel like Korean skincare's really hit its mark here now. It's incredible.
It is, and they are amazing. I have very dry skin, and so we get all the samples from all of our clients, and it's just been the most amazing products. So we're always trying on the samples, and it's 50-50 sometimes if we take them on. If we feel like the product's not great and we can't really get behind it, sometimes we'll pass on the project. But this one is groundbreaking. So
that's amazing. And coming out of Melbourne, did you say?
Yes, so she's in Melbourne as well, yeah.
Oh, amazing. Oh, that's really exciting. Before we wrap, I wanted to jump into some her edit questions and see where you're at with a few things. I'm interested with this one. Can you remember a first design-related purchase you ever made? Like a piece of furniture or an artwork or...
I heard you ask some other designers on previous episodes. I've been thinking about it. I think when I was in uni, I was always obsessed with the gallery walls,
yes. Yeah.
And so we would go to the French local kind of flea markets and buy all of the vintage posters. So you would get kind of a huge range of Belle Epoque or mid-century posters and always sort of random, exhibitions or a wine brand, all these quirky designs. So I used to buy all of those posters and put them all across the wall. And I think that was my first kind of not expensive design purchase, but kind of design post, graphic design related. And I still have some. It's a good
that's wonderful.
kind of reminder to experiment. They're always kind of crazy posters, which is fun.
Yeah, and some of them are quite hard to come by now, I think. Which
they are now.
Hold on to them.
You have to go to the small villages in France, unfortunately.
I also wanted to ask, I'm sure you probably much like me in design, I see a lot of furniture I'm always coveting. Is there any particular product that you would love to get your hands on at the moment? Like a cosmetic product or anything that you've seen?
No, I don't
on
think.
your hit list?
I actually can't think of anything.
No? What about any artwork or any interior?
So we've just finished redesigning the house, and
that's exciting.
I don't have a specific name in mind, but we're looking for this stunning kind of wooden table piece with a huge sort of modern base to it, but I can't think of the designer, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, I'd have a think. If something comes back to you before the episode.
It's hard. My list is very long anyway. Next travel destination, actual or aspirational? I think you mentioned Italy was on the cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's in 2 weeks' time. And we
wonderful.
have a product shoot there for an amazing, again, this Australian brand launching a cosmetics makeup product. So that's in Italy. It's very Dolce Vita kind of vibes.
How beautiful.
And obviously we're over there, so I'm making the most of going back to France, catching up with everyone for kind of a quick 2-week round trip.
Incredible.
So that's the next one. And then with the family, everyone wants to go skiing at the moment. So we haven't done the Australian ski scene yet. We're trying to decide if that's worth it or if we go to Japan or where the best kind of ski.
I feel like given the start of this season has been a little bit sad. Yeah, it's increasingly a challenging sport. I feel like Japan could be the way. Be the way to go.
Because growing up in France, it was just there on your doorstep. So I'm trying to get that over here, but it's not quite the same, is it?
Yeah, no, well, particularly from Perth, I suppose it's a little bit more challenging. Favourite creative icon, living or legend?
Oh, I love Jessica Walsh. She's a graphic designer. So back in the day, she used to be part of Sagmeister and Walsh, and they were just great at typography and posters. And in recent years, she does a lot more kind of politically inclined, I guess, creative work. I wouldn't say it's very subtle. It's always very obvious what she's kind of speaking out against, but it's always super creative and kind of fun and quirky. So she's definitely kind of a classic designer that I love.
Yeah, amazing. Whereabouts is she based? Where's she from?
She's in New York.
American, okay.
Yeah. So she always has a lot to say, as you can imagine, about the American politics.
Good on her.
Someone has to.
The final question, if your star was a celebrity, who would it be?
Ooh, my design style or my personal style?
Either.
I guess my design style is very different. So I'd say for our design style at BOAST, because we're very bold, I'm trying to think of kind of celebrities that are like Emma, how do you say it? Emma
Chamberlain. Yeah.
Chamberlain.
Yep.
Like every time you see her, she looks really different, and it's just a kind of a different quirky outfit. Or
I know it just kind of makes fashion super fun. Actually, she's never afraid to just change everything. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I think her for design would probably be a good one. My personal style is very different. I think, thinking about who's in Melbourne, like Erin Deering. I don't know if she's a celebrity. I guess she is.
Yeah.
That kind of more classic, elegant chicness, I think, is more my personal style.
Yeah, I love that. And then being able to explore that a little bit with work as well is pretty fun.
Yeah, it's always very different in work, so it's fun.
Oh, that's good. Thank you so much for your time today, April. I've loved speaking with you, and all the best with your photo shoot in Italy. Sounds amazing.
Thank you. Likewise. Look, thank you for having me.